and my visits became less frequent. My mother passed away when I was young, and afterward, I was raised by my father, my brother, and my paternal grandparents. My brother married young and built his own house near our childhood home. He has 2 daughters, who are dear nieces to me. You have 2 adorable grandchildren already, so why do I need to have children? But still, you are. Each time, it turned into an argument. Then one day, my father had a traffic accident. By the time I arrived at the hospital, the situation was already severe, and my always energetic father passed away peacefully while our family watched over him. Dad, there was someone I wanted to introduce to you. At that time, I had a partner I met through friends. Recently, he had proposed and we had decided to get married. He tended to put on airs, but he was a kind-hearted person. His name was Steve, having lost both parents and my brother having his own new family. It's going to feel a bit lonely, isn't it? After the funeral, back at home, I murmured such thoughts while stroking my cat, Candy. You're not alone, Janet. From now on, I'm your family. Steve, who was beside me, said that, taking my hand gently. He was concerned about me and came to check on me. Let's build a happy family together. I believed I could have ordinary happiness. At that time, I couldn't even imagine what would happen next. Welcome, though it's a bit cramped. We were welcomed by Steve's parents when we visited for me to introduce myself to them. His mother was very active and cheerful. I felt a bit nervous as soon as I entered the room. I thought we would be meeting just his parents, but there were also his grandparents, Steve's brother, his wife, plus their 2 boys. Nice to meet you. There were so many people. Steve's family home, built by his grandfather, felt a bit old and run down. To be honest, it seemed quite ancient. However, his family welcomed me warmly despite my nervousness. On our way back, I said to Steve, there were so many people today. It must be even more chaotic during holidays and Christmas. He laughed and replied, really, it's cramped. I wonder how they manage to live there every day. I was genuinely surprised by his comment. Steve's family home wasn't particularly spacious. I had thought it was just coincidentally crowded that day. Wow, 8 people in that house. That's impressive. According to my husband, initially, it was just his parents and grandparents, 4 people living together. But one day, his unemployed brother suddenly moved in with his wife and kids. Well, I guess he'll move out once he finds a job, my husband said with a laugh. At that time, I just thought it must be tough for his family. Since getting married, we haven't been blessed with children, but we live a leisurely life with my husband and our cat, Candy. My husband helps with the household chores, and Candy is fond of him. Some time has passed since our marriage, but my brother-in-law's family still lives in the same house. The walls are filled with children's scribbles, and my mother-in-law has accepted the situation, laughing it off as a joke. Vanessa, my brother-in-law's wife, always looks tired. She is older than my brother-in-law and close to my age, so we developed a good relationship quickly. Hey, Vanessa, hurry up. Janet, don't just watch. We're out of beer. When I visit my in-laws, Vanessa and I are usually the only ones moving around. We were constantly busy, hardly having a moment to breathe. I wondered if this was the fate of a daughter-in-law, but thinking about Vanessa facing this daily was genuinely frightening. Since my brother-in-law doesn't work, Vanessa works full-time. It might be a bit rude, but I asked her, have you ever thought about divorce? Yes, it's quite tough as it is, but I have kids. He used to be much kinder. I couldn't understand what she saw in my brother-in-law, but there must be something between them that only they know. It was during such times. Hey, should we start thinking about building our own house? One day, my husband suggested. I was surprised by his words, but also felt joy inside. In fact, I've had a small wish since I was a child. To live in a lovely house like those in picture books and to raise a white dog in the garden. I had never told anyone, but I did share this dream with my husband, hiding my embarrassment. That sounds great. He responded enthusiastically. Then we spent time visiting model houses and selecting a home builder, and after a year, our dream home was completed. Let's work hard on the mortgage payments. My husband said, Yeah, that's right, I replied with a smile. On the first weekend after our house was completed, my in-laws came to visit as a housewarming gesture. Here, Dad, give them the celebration gift. Excuse us. Oh, what a lovely home. My mother-in-law said, looking quite pleased as if it were her own home. As I gave a wry smile, my father-in-law said, "Here, this is for celebration," and handed me 2 cans of beer that seemed to have been bought just then. Is this all? My brother-in-law wandered around the house, went into the bedroom on the second floor, and exclaimed, "Bo, this bed is so comfortable," as he jumped onto it. Since the father did that, the kids also got excited, running around and shouting, "There's a cat." The children chased our cat, Candy, throughout the house. Candy, usually a loving cat, was overwhelmed by so many people and hid in a corner of the room. "I'm so sorry, Candy." Looking over at my husband and brother-in-law, they had already started drinking with my in-laws. "Janet, mother-in-law, is rushing for snacks. Can I use the kitchen? And I'm really sorry for scaring the cat," Vanessa said, apologizing. How can such a nice person be in that family? I empathized with Vanessa as if she were my own sister. "I'll do it, so you take a break, Vanessa." I said that, but Vanessa helped with the cooking while taking care of the kids. Steve's grandparents are always quiet and don't talk much. They were as silent as dolls, yet they commented, "What a wonderful home you have." "Really? We're sorry for being so noisy." It was Steve's parents who were noisy, yet the two of them apologized. His grandparents were very polite people. Ultimately, the problem seems to involve Steve's parents, his brother, and probably Steve himself. After that, Steve's parents and brother started visiting our house almost every weekend. They would party loudly until late at night, causing complaints from neighbors, and the police even showed up once. Steve's grandparents and Vanessa, along with her children, haven't visited our house since the housewarming, but Steve's parents come without hesitation, often leaving me with tasks to do. My patience finally reached its limit. Steve began to show his true character gradually. Once, when I was sick with a cold and couldn't cook dinner, I asked Steve, who returned home from work before me, to buy something for dinner on his way back. What Steve brought home was 2 servings of fried chicken. With no appetite, I reflexively said, "Why fried chicken? I can't eat this right now." Without getting angry, Steve replied, "What are you talking about, Janet? You need to eat properly and get better, especially now." If I could eat that, I wouldn't have asked in the first place, I thought to myself. Later, when Steve fell ill, I asked him with a hint of sarcasm, "Do you want fried chicken?" He replied, "No, that's obviously not going to work. What are you thinking?" He laughed as he said that. In the end, this family is selfish and lacks consideration for others. It's as if they've lost their humanity. They can do as they please now, but there will come a time they'd regret it. I decided that in my heart and smiled slightly. A few days later, it was decided that I had to go on a business trip. On the morning of my departure, "I'm off then," I cheerfully said to Steve. "Is your business trip starting today?" "Actually, Vanessa is also on a business trip starting today," he mentioned. "Really? I had no idea." "What a coincidence," I replied, to which he laughed. "My parents are in trouble because they don't have anyone to help around the house." Seeing him laugh, I thought to myself, this man is terrible. Days passed busily while I was away, and a major storm hit. I asked Steve about the situation.